Well, most people, including myself for the most part, enjoy sports for what? Well, sports are entertaining, sports are fun. They provide great ups, great highs, great lows, ups and downs, right? But a lot of people, especially in today's age, love sports because it can get their mind off of things. It can get their mind off of what's going on in the world. It can get their mind off of what's going on at work. It can get their mind off of what's going on at home, right? People go to sports bars because sports bars are a good place for people to go to get their minds off of things, right? It also is loved because, for the most part, sports helps you stay away from politics. Not today, not in this very topic, because that is one of the biggest topics right now when it pertains to college athletics, and more specifically college football. Should athletes of a certain race boycott Southern schools? That is a real subject matter. That is where we go to start the show today. This is a very interesting story that's come down within the last 2 days, and we lead it off on Wire to Wire. Welcome in. I'm Cole Bryson. So good to be with you on this Thursday edition of the show. Good to see Stephen Webb in the stream. He says, Tolo, good to see you, Stephen. Hope you are well. So here is how this works. The NAACP is urging athletes and fans to boycott over voting rights. Again, this story has continued to develop in the last 2 days. But the NAACP is calling on black athletes and fans to boycott the athletic programs of public university and states that are taking steps that the nation's oldest civil rights group says are restricting black votes. So, launched on Tuesday, the Out of Bounds campaign urges prospective black athletes, their family, alumni, and fans to withhold athletic and financial support from major public universities in states that have moved to limit, weaken, or erase black voting representation. So, if black athletes participate in the boycott, it could deplete rosters for powerhouse football and basketball programs across the Southeastern Conference and the Atlantic Coast Conference and the SEC and the ACC. The NAACP is among groups responding to a wave of gerrymandering in the aftermath of a Supreme Court ruling that winnowed a key provision by the Voting Rights Act of 1965. So what's happened? Civil rights activists have mobilized across the South to protest redistricting plans by the Republican state legislators that eliminate majority black congressional districts after the high court's ruling. Activists have looked for pressure points to dissuade GOP-led states from redistricting maps, including calls for mass protests and economic boycotts. Derek Johnson, the president of the NAACP, said, across the South, black athletes have helped build some of the most profitable college athletic programs in America. Johnson noted that the programs generate hundreds of millions of dollars in annual revenue, national television revenue, alumni donations, merchandise sales, ticket sales, and brand equity, much of it powered by black football and black basketball talent. The NAACP, their campaign is calling out Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Louisiana, Mississippi, Texas, and South Carolina as states to boycott, arguing that the athletic programs of those states' flagships universities are especially reliant on black athletic talent and should protect black political interest. So that begs the question, and that's the question I ask you. If you're listening on 97.1 FM in Spartanburg, 97.7 FM in Greenville, 101.5 FM in Anderson, on the free Odyssey app, the iHeartRadio app, or if you're watching the show live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, should athletes boycott the South? The NAACP versus the SEC and the ACC. No recruitment, no revenue, politics versus college football. Is this fair to student athletes? Those are all questions I ask at 844-326-3663. So this out-of-bounds campaign, if you just tuned into the show, by the way, good to see Boston Scott watching the show on Facebook as well. This NCAA or NAACP, I keep saying NCAA, and my apologies, the NAACP launched a campaign called Out of Bounds. And again, this campaign is encouraging black athletes and fans to boycott some public universities in southern states over what the group says are attacks on black voting rights and political representation. Again, this is targeted to schools in Georgia, Bama, Florida, Tennessee, Louisiana, Texas, Mississippi, and South Carolina. The NAACP says these states have pursued redistricting and voting changes after a Supreme Court ruling that weakened parts of the Voting Rights Act. Their slogan is no representation, no recruitment, no revenue. This hits SEC football, ACC football, NIL, college athletics. Now you're talking about athlete activism as well, right? Everybody has an opinion on that. Everybody has an opinion on this. And that's why I want to hear from you. The phone lines are open. The Joy Law Firm text line is open as well. I know a lot of people, like I said to begin the show, to lead the show, watch sports because you feel like it's a getaway from things in life, right? It's a getaway from politics. It's a getaway from work. It's a getaway from what's going on at home, right? But I do ask, is it fair to ask a 17 or an 18-year-old recruit, and I'll give my opinion toward the end of this segment, is it fair to ask a 17 or an 18-year-old recruit to become politically active, to become a political activist? Should college football programs pay for political decisions made by lawmakers? That's the big question here, right? Or is athlete pressure historically one of the only things that creates change? There are multiple ways to look at this. And what they're saying is, the NAACP is saying, look, the SEC and major Southern football programs rely heavily on black athletes in football and in basketball. How could this impact recruiting realistically? Is the SEC football too powerful culturally and financially? Are they bulletproof from this? Would players actually turn down Alabama, Georgia, LSU, Clemson, Texas, etc.? Those are questions that people are asking now. Also, you look at it from this angle. Could HBCUs benefit from this? The campaign also encourages athletes to consider HBCUs instead. So could NIL finally create a world where elite athletes choose an HBCU over a top-tier SEC program? What would happen if even a few five stars flipped? What would happen? And because of this, sports and politics are now permanently connected. NIL, transfer portal, social activism, conference politics, court rulings, athlete empowerment. And this has been the case for several years now, but college sports are no longer just sports. Good to see those on the stream. The stream blowing up right now, by the way. I see Stephen Webb, Boston Scott, Jersey Joe, Shane Barrett, JB, the OG Tolo. Good to see all of you in watching the show, where you can watch Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. I want to know from you, Tolos out there, and a couple of texts coming in as well. I'll get to the Joy Law Firm text line in just a second. When you tell your son to turn down an SEC scholarship over politics? That's a question. I also wrote down a few more. Should athletes boycott schools over voting rights? How bad could it hurt the SEC? Do sports organizations have too much political influence? We talked about the HBCUs as well, right? So again, the campaign brought up by the NAACP is called Out of Bounds. The congressional movement is what spurred this in recent days, in recent weeks. The focus is tied to voting rights and redistricting battles after the Supreme Court's Louisiana versus Kalish ruling. Similar calls happened previously in Florida in 2024 regarding different policies out there. If you are hearing me ask this and you're asking the question, well, what changed in the Supreme Court? Because that's the question that I asked as well when I first heard about this. Here's what changed. A recent Supreme Court ruling in 2026 weakened part of the Federal Voting Rights Act, specifically protections that had been used to challenge congressional maps that allegedly diluted black voting power. After that ruling, several southern states started redrawing congressional district maps. Critics argue those new maps reduced the number of districts where black voters can realistically elect their preferred candidates. That's the core issue here. So the NAACP is saying southern states are diluting black voting power. Black athletes generate billions of dollars for SEC and ACC schools. Those athletes should not support states they believe are weakening black political representation. That's why the NAACP, launched the boycott campaign. What supporters of the new maps, the new redrawn maps when it comes to the voting districts are arguing that districts should be drawn without prioritizing race. So if you look at a certain state, those who have changed this new ruling are arguing that districts should be drawn within a state that do not prioritize any race. Some previous maps were themselves racially gerrymanders. Okay, states also have the constitutional authority to redraw districts. Politics, not race, often drives district boundaries. So the Supreme Court ruling basically gave states more flexibility in this area. And again, the states involved: Alabama, Louisiana, Tennessee, Georgia, Mississippi, Florida, Texas, and South Carolina. And Tennessee, for example, critics say Memphis was split up politically in a way that weakened black and Democratic voting influence. In Louisiana and Alabama, fights centered around whether there should be an additional majority black congressional district. The NAACP here, for those that don't know, is not saying black people can't vote or voting was outlawed or polling places were removed. The argument is more, are district maps being drawn in a way that weakens black communities' political influence? That's the debate. So pretty much the argument from the NAACP and voting rights groups is that some of these congressional maps amount to unconstitutional or unlawful racial gerrymandering because they dilute black voting power. But legally, there's two different concepts. So you have, for those that don't know, you have partisan gerrymandering and you have racial gerrymandering. Partisan gerrymandering is drawing maps to help a certain political party. Racial gerrymandering is drawing maps in a way that improperly uses race. So now the Supreme Court has come out and said partisan gerrymandering is mostly a political issue for states to handle. Racial gerrymandering can still violate the Constitution or Voting Rights Act. So the NAACP position is essentially these maps have now weakened black representation and violate voting right protections. Meanwhile, supporters are arguing, hey, these are political maps. They have nothing to do with race. It's not racial discrimination. So the NCAA or the NAACP now believes some southern states are redrawing these congressional districts in a way that dilute black voting power. Supporters of the maps are saying they're legal, political redistricting decisions, not racial discrimination. And now the NAACP with this new campaign are urging student athletes to boycott certain Southern schools. Again, the title of the campaign is Out of Bounds. That's the title of the campaign. It's the NAACP versus the SEC. No recruitment, no revenue, how this could hurt the SEC, how this could hurt the ACC, right? By the way, Texter gets in. I want to read this one because this one's funny. Texter from the 814 gets in and says, insane that you're talking about this. Well, Texter, I would love to know. I would love for you to either call the show or explain to me why it's insane that I'm talking about this, because this is something that directly could affect SEC football programs, ACC football programs, and newsflash for you, Texter from the 814. We cover SEC and ACC football programs on this show. We cover ACC and SEC football programs on this station. So if you don't like that I'm talking about it, I am just so upset. I'm so sorry for you. I hope your day gets better, but I am talking about it because it is one of the top stories in college football right now. And whether you think it has nothing to do with sports or whatever your reasoning is that you don't think I should be talking about this, it is directly tied. And I mean directly tied to the SEC and the ACC. You know how many successful programs are in South Carolina and Georgia and Alabama and Florida and Tennessee and Louisiana and Texas and Mississippi? So with the NAACP saying these states have pursued redistricting and voting changes after a recent Supreme Court ruling that could directly impact these schools in the ACC and SEC, Texter, you think, oh, it's just insane that you're talking about that. Why would you talk about this? I mean, it's just absolutely insane that you would talk about this. And by the way, the stream, those watching in the comment section, they're going back and forth about it. Brewfighter on YouTube says, the fact is that athletes are going to go where the money is. The endowments at SEC schools are massive. Politics be damned, says Brewfighter on YouTube. And that's a big part of the conversation, Brewfighter. That's a big part of it. Are athletes now going to have to weigh what organizations like the NAACP are advocating for versus the money that's being thrown out there? And it's a huge part of the football in the area in the South that we cover. Huge part. So for the one texter that's upset that I'm talking about this, I am so sorry. And again, I'm sure that texter will not call into the show. They will not try to debate or explain why I shouldn't be talking about this. It's usually a quick one text and I'm gone kind of thing. But I would love to get an explanation from you, texter, as to why you're upset that I'm talking about this. I'm sure you won't give me one, but it's okay. Shane Barrett on YouTube asks, how many 17 and 18-year-olds give a crap about voting districts? And that's the thing. I don't think a lot of them do. But when you have organizations pushing for these athletes to start reconsidering these certain programs, it does make it interesting, right? It does make it interesting. And I think, was it Brewfighter who brought this up about the money? In this new landscape, if this were 10 to 15 years ago in college football, maybe the conversation's a little bit different. Because the amounts of money that were being thrown around or that are being thrown around now are a lot different than what it was 10 to 15 years ago, right? So maybe the conversation would have been a little bit different even 5 to 10 years ago. But now, with money being as important as it is, guess what? A lot's made about money. Let me get back to the Joy Law Firm text line here. A long text. Let me see if I can piece it together. Sorry, texter. Our text line breaks up texts that are long, so I will try my best. I apologize if I butcher this, okay? Texter from the 680 gets in at 844-326-3663 and says, the only question is, do we believe in things that are unconstitutional or do we believe in the Constitution? what was going on with the districts, the way that they were unconstitutional because they were based on race. These maps are not based on race, regardless of what people may think. They're based on politics. But because there are so many Democrats in the NAACP, they're trying everything that they can to come after anything and everything and grasping at straws, I believe is the next word they're trying to get here. The people, Texter says, the people who are of different ethnicity, including and not limited to my wife, who are Republican, have no issue with the map. It comes back down to what your political beliefs are. So, again, Texter, to your point, everything nowadays seems to be tied into what people's political beliefs are. But I will say, the fact that there are big, large organizations out there, like the NAACP, that are encouraging or urging student athletes to reconsider where they may go to college, it's going to be really interesting to follow. Whether you think I should be talking about it or not, it's going to be real interesting to follow. It is, because it could wind up being something. It could wind up being nothing. But guess what? We cover sports, and this ties into sports a lot. So we're going to talk about it. And I say we, me. I'm by myself. I'm so sorry and upset. I hope you can tell my voice how upset I am that I have upset one listener out there because I brought this up. But nonetheless, a big story to follow with this, the NAACP, and what may come of it. All right, on to the next segment, 844-326-3663. College baseball conference tournament update, plus an insane tweet that I saw this morning regarding two teams that flew all the way across the country to do what? I'll tell you next.
Where the refs are always wrong. And we've got the replay to prove it. This is Wire to Wire with Cole, Bryson, and Diesel on the Fan Upstate.
From the News Talk 98.9 WORD Weather Center, here's the Carolina.
The ball's in your court. Sound off now at 844-FAN-PHONE.
This is Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson on the Fan Upstate.
College baseball conference tournaments rolling on, and man, a wild tweet I saw earlier today that just makes you scratch your head and think, what are we doing? What are we doing here? We'll get to that in just a second, but let's go to the phone lines at 844-326-3663. Matt from Ohio wants to weigh in on the previous conversation. What's up, Matt?
Hey, I just wanted to say that I think you are completely justified in addressing this, especially in light of Lane Kiffin's recent comments about some, potential racism at Ole Miss. I mean, whether we want to admit it or not, there's nothing, and you mentioned it, that's really out of the realm of politics, whether it's men competing in women's sports, biological men competing in women's sports, or, Title IX, or, even conference realignment and NIL. We've seen President Trump get involved in NIL. We can't escape the fact. So I think it's an extremely relevant topic. I think it's crazy that the NAACP would ask these young athletes to, make choices and potentially give up income, based on something that is not a given fact. I mean, probably more than half the country doesn't agree with them. The Supreme Court doesn't agree with them. And I think it's very irresponsible for them to be sending out this call to young athletes to, potentially affect their earnings. Let's face it. I mean, college athletics now is a means for these young people to earn money. And I just, and they're doing that based on really an opinion that's not an established fact and that most people probably don't even agree with. Now, with that said, as an Ohio State fan, if you don't want to go to the South, Columbus, Ohio is a great place to be, and we've got a lot of NIL money up there, brother. So send them up to Columbus, Ohio.
Nicely done, Matt. Thanks for the call. Way to spin it. That was a great ending. If you don't like it, come to Columbus. That is you might want to talk to Ryan Day about that. They need to put that out there. That's pretty good stuff there. Appreciate the phone call, Matt from Ohio, 844-326-3663. Interesting stuff there. And thank you, Matt, for those words, because I thought it was relevant too. And I think a lot of people do, but you know how some people, if they don't hear what they want to hear, they get upset about it and they're going to text in. They're not going to call in. For crying out loud, they would never call in to try to defend what they believe, but they'll send a simple text to keyboard warrior. It's okay. It's okay. We'll talk about what you want to talk about. Conference baseball tournaments, right? Is that what you want to talk about, Tolos? Let me get to this tweet first. Before we get to college baseball, I saw this tweet earlier today, and we talked about this a lot in football season. Ever since Stanford and Cal joined the ACC, we've all scratched our heads and thought, this makes no sense. This just absolutely makes no sense. However, Jordan Moore, who is with DraftKings, put out this tweet yesterday, and this was a pretty good one. The tweet read, college athletics is so crazy now. Cal Baseball, a team located on the Pacific Coast, but somehow in the ACC, flew to Charlotte, North Carolina, for a single elimination conference tournament against Stanford, a school 90 minutes from their campus. They traveled 2,715 miles across the country to play a regional rival, lost one game, then had to hop on a 5.5-hour flight right back to California. Make it make sense why Cal and Stanford are in the ACC. For a college baseball tournament, you hop on a plane, 2,700 miles across the country, you play one game, you lose, and then you're right back on that 5.5-hour flight. And oh, by the way, not to mention, who'd you play in that game? You played Stanford, a team 90 minutes from your campus, which is just phenomenal. That Jordan, great tweet. College athletics, you just sometimes don't have words. So Rocco Miller of Bracketeer.org, who's a good friend of the show. He comes on every week during college basketball season. Rocco Miller responded to Jordan's tweet and said, hey, 14 months ago, news, my man. What was he talking about? He included a screenshot of the ACC basketball tournament. And guess who played on March 12th, this past tournament, in the first round? Two ACC teams, Cal and Stanford, played. That's right. They both left their home state and traveled all the way to the Carolinas to play each other in basketball. They turn around and do it again in baseball. And that is why neither one of those teams should be in the ACC. I know conferences anymore aren't just about geography and where schools are located, but get them to the Pac-12, please. Can we do that? And I think that eventually they're going to go back. I think eventually they'll go back to the Pac-12, but my goodness, this is really, really dumb. And, pro sports rarely even have that kind of travel. Pro sports rarely have that. And pro sports, they have, obviously bigger budgets. But I guess you could say they dug that grave because it was the 4 California schools that destroyed the Pac-12. So really interesting stuff there when it pertains to ACC schools flying all the way across the country. Now, college baseball conference tournaments going on right now. Some here in Greenville, by the way, right here at Floor Field, the Southern Conference tournament every year. Not every year, but in recent years right here for the most part. They've been here a while here in Greenville at Floor Field. Good tournament, by the way. Good tournament. Let's see what we have going on right now in the Big 12 tournament. Oklahoma State leads UCF 12-6. In the Atlantic 10, Rhode Island leads St. Joseph's 10-7. In the SoCon tournament right here in Greenville, Samford leads Western Carolina 6-3. In the SEC tournament in Hoover, Georgia currently leads Mississippi State 5-2, top of the 8th there. The Summit League tournament features Omaha and Oral Roberts. The American Conference tournament, Wichita State and Rice going at it right now. Wichita State leads 4-3, top of the 7th. North Alabama leads North Florida in the ASUN tournament right now, 6-1, that game, bottom of the 7th. In the Big South tournament, a rain delay between High Point and Charleston Southern. High Point leads 3-2. Long Island playing Lemoyne in the NEC tournament. MAC tournament, Miami of Ohio leading Northern Illinois. Let's see. Oh, Sunbelt. Diesel would not be happy if he were here. He's on vacation this week, by the way, if you just tuned in. But if he were here, he would not like this. In the Sun Belt tournament right now, bottom of the 4th inning, Coastal Carolina leads App State 3-0. Coastal Carolina up 3 right now, again, bottom of the 4th. A lot of games happening right now. Big Ten tournament underway between Iowa and Purdue. The CAA, the MAAC, the America East tournament. Longwood defeated Radford earlier today in the Big South tournament. Also earlier today, right here in Greenville, the Citadel defeated Mercer 9-2. So the Citadel on a little bit of a run here in Greenville. Let's see. For Virginia, oh my gosh, look at this. This is a baseball score. Today in the ACC tournament. I'm sorry, this was yesterday. My apologies. Yesterday, Georgia Tech defeated Virginia 16-10. High scoring baseball score there. 16-10. So a lot of good games today in college baseball. Conference tournaments wrapping up. Let's see, last night, anything else that I missed? Pittsburgh did defeat Wake Forest in the ACC tournament 7-4. Washington beat Michigan in the Big Ten 7-1. LSU lost to Auburn last night 3-1 in the SEC tournament second round. A lot of good stuff going on in college baseball. Also wanted to get to some coaching news when it comes to college baseball. Kendall Rogers does a great job, as we all know, of D1 baseball. By the way, Aaron Fitt came on the show yesterday. Aaron Fitt also works for D1 baseball. But let's get to a little coaching carousel a little coaching carousel when it comes to college baseball, if I can find it here. Because it is that time of year where more and more coaches are departing, right? More and more coaches are being hired. Here it is. The D1 Baseball head coaching carousel on d1baseball.com. Here are the current schools that have openings. Trevor Bierman left Eastern Michigan, so they're looking for a new coach. Greg Wallace left Grand Canyon, so they're looking for a new head coach. Todd Whiting left Houston. They're looking for a new head coach in college baseball. Elliott Event retired today after 30 years at NC State, so NC State Wolfpack looking for a new head coach. Evan Porter left Omaha, so they're looking for a new head coach. Jake Hendrick was replaced by James Cullinane at Queens up in North Carolina. South Carolina, obviously, with the firing of Paul Maneri early in the season. Monty Lee, what that situation looks like will be interesting. Townsend looking for a new head coach. UC Riverside as well. You would expect the University of Houston to be on the list soon. You also look out for Indiana University, what could be there in terms of coaching decisions going on. I also want to bring up something interesting about NC State. NC State's coach retired today. And again, NC State's coach was at NC State for 30 years. 30 years. And we know right now here locally with South Carolina, there's a lot of conversation about Kevin Snall, but there's also some conversation about Landon Powell. With Elliott Event retiring from NC State after 30 years with the Wolfpack, you do wonder if Landon Powell doesn't get the South Carolina job. Now with this job at NC State open, would Landon Powell be interested? You say, well, Cole, what ties does he have to NC State? Well, guess what? Landon Powell has a lot of ties to the state of North Carolina and NC State, in fact. At one time, Landon Powell was a bat boy at NC State. Grew up in the area. And if South Carolina doesn't go the Landon Powell route, it'll be interesting to see if he ends up in his hometown where he used to be a bat boy, now that NC State's head coach is hanging it up after 30 years. Just saying. Not saying he's going to take it. Not saying I've heard anything, but there could be an interesting correlation there. Shane Barrett on YouTube says, if you're in Simpsonville, Five Forks, avoid Woodruff Road at Jonesville Road. There's a wreck, I'm pretty sure. Pretty bad traffic there, Shane. Again, Shane says if you're in Simpsonville, Five Forks, avoid Woodruff Road at Jonesville. That's pretty good advice, Shane, to avoid Woodruff Road any day of the week, right? At all times. Let's go to the phone lines, 844-326-3663. Who do we have?
We got Dale again.
Dale again. Dale, I didn't know your last name was again. How are you, man?
Man, I'm good. How about yourself, Cole?
I am fantastic. I couldn't be any better. Couldn't be any better.
Hey, so first of all, I want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to sit next to you and do a little segment. That was real nice.
Yes, anytime. You did great. Yeah. You did fantastic.
I was so happy. I went home and I played it for the wife and, gave her all that praise. And afterwards, it's all sitting down. We get into a big old argument because she says I couldn't say anything nice about Ohio State. And you wonder why I'm not going to ever be a fan of theirs.
Yeah. Did you not say one kind thing at all about him yesterday, Dale?
Say that one more time, I'm sorry?
Did you not say anything kind about Ohio State at all yesterday?
I thought I did. I thought I said that Ryan Day was an excellent recruiter and that they kept reloading and all this stuff.
Yeah. I thought so.
In the upper echelon of coaches, I didn't say he was the best. And she took offense to it.
She took offense to it. You've upset your Ohio State wife after being on the air. You know what? You shouldn't have played it back for her. Or you should have been.
I wanted to.
Well,
but you know what? trust me, the next time I have a big rant, I will play that one for her too.
Yeah. Next time, Dale, you've just got to be very complimentary of Ohio State.
I can't do that, man. It's not my DNA. See,
Yeah, but you act like you pull for
brother-in-law.
Michigan or something, though, Dale. You act like you pull for Michigan. Southern Cal, you're a fan of Southern Cal. What beef does Southern Cal have with Ohio State?
Listen, we're going to find out here in October. But I will say this. I will root for Michigan, just not openly against them.
I got you. Fair enough.
And I'm not taking that route of my brother-in-law who is, like, married into the family and is now, like, he swears that Ohio State's always been his team. No.
Just a people pleaser is what he is, right?
A fraudulent fan is what he is.
But you know what? He says, happy wife, happy life.
I say happy spouse, happy house.
Oh, wow. I like that.
Okay?
Yeah.
Happy spouse, happy house. It's a two-way street. I'm sorry, but when everyone fought for equal rights, that's what comes with it, my guy. Thank you.
Thanks, Dale. 844-326-3663. The conversation continues, but shifts to what the Atlanta Braves are doing. Man, what a win last night. Man, what a win. The Braves will now at least not lose the series with the Miami Marlins. If they lose tonight, obviously it'll be a split, 2-2. But the Braves have put in concrete that they still have only lost one series this season. They did not lose this series to the Miami Marlins. They still have one more to go tonight. We'll get into that next. Brew Fighter on YouTube talking about the Atlanta Braves says this is why this team is special. When guys keep going down, new guys keep stepping up. Austin Riley is all over the place, but at least he had a good game with Drake out. We are going to need that bad. No doubt, Drake Baldwin being out, Brew Fighter, a little bit of a concern, but you've got to have guys step up. That's what the Atlanta Braves did last night. And my goodness, what a way to win. The Atlanta Braves, man, they, like you said, Brew Fighter, they just something different every night. And what they do last night? Oh, I don't know, inside the park home run, right? Because that happens every day, a little league home run, if you will. Atlanta Braves got a win last night, game 4 tonight against the Miami Marlins. But a couple of pieces of info here. Let's talk about Chris Sale for a minute. Did you know, Tolos, did you know, Braves fans out there, and Brew Fighter, I know you're a big Braves guy as well. Did you know that Chris Sale had never earned a win versus the Marlins in his career? He had never earned a win against the Marlins. Is that not crazy? For as long as that guy's been pitching, as long as that guy's been in major leagues, last night was his first earned win against the Miami. He went 7 innings, allowed 4 hits, 1 earned run, 8 strikeouts, and 0 base on balls last night. 0. You're talking about elite for a guy in Chris Sale. For a lot of Braves fans, when they got Chris Sale, they didn't like him. He's 37 years old, and on a random Wednesday night in May, he goes out there with 7 innings, 4 hits allowed, 1 earned run, 8 Ks, and 0. Come on. I mean, come on. At 37, you just don't see that often. And that's why this pitching this year has been as good as it is, a lot in part due to the success from Chris Sale. Spencer Strider on the mound tonight for the Atlanta Braves. So 50 games into the season, the Atlanta Braves have a 9-game division lead in the NL East. Philadelphia Phillies behind them again, 9 games back. Phillies are 500 on the season, 25-25. Braves now 34-16, 7-3 in the last 10. They won 2 in a row. The Phillies have lost 2 in a row. The Nationals in the NL East have won 2 in a row. The Miami Marlins have lost 2 in a row to the Braves, and the Mets have lost 2 in a row. The Phillies lost last night to the Reds, by the way. So this Braves team, what they're doing, to your point, Brew Fighter on YouTube, what they're doing night in and night out is so impressive because they just somehow know what it takes each and every night. They somehow, some way, find a way to get it done. It's a different guy every night. And if you're a Braves fan in the Upstate, and I know we have a lot of them, this team does feel different. It does feel special. And I will even say, even going back to 2021 when Atlanta won the World Series, we didn't have this feeling at this point in the season. At the All-Star break, the Braves weren't a great team. They made some trades, went on a miraculous run, got hot, won the World Series. Yes, they had an incredible core of great players. Nobody's saying they didn't. But this season, them being as good as they have been out of the gate, all the way until now, which is May 21st, is it going to last? I don't know. Are they going to sustain it? I don't know. I hope so. But the way that they're playing, it's inspiring. They truly want to win every game. You see the urgency from Walt Weiss. And, man, this has been a lot of fun. This has been one of the more fun Braves seasons in a long time. I've watched more games this year. I have a link. I'll be happy to share that link with any of you Tolos who are Braves fans. It's all I'm going to say, it's a link. You'll watch the Braves, right? Not everybody has Braves vision. If you have YouTube TV, you don't. But the Braves back in action tonight. Let's see if they can take the series 3 of 4 against the Marlins. Hour number 2 next.
And the gridiron to the tracks.
Electrifying sports talk from start to finish.
You're going wire to wire.
With Diesel and Cole Bryson.
On the Fan Upstate.
Well, guess who is back in Baton Rouge, Louisiana? Did you see the news that broke late last night? I don't know why it broke so late last night, but it did. Did you see who's back, Tolos? That's right, Ed Orgeron. Coach O's back in Louisiana. That's right, on staff with Lane Kiffin. LSU has finalized a deal to add Ed Orgeron to its football coaching staff, the school announced on Wednesday night. That is where we go right here in this very segment. Welcome into Wire to Wire. I'm Cole Bryson. So good to be with you on this Thursday afternoon. No rain, though, yet, right? I thought they were calling for some rain today. I don't see any. A little cloudy, though, here in Greenville, but no rain as of yet. I hadn't seen rain in what? I don't know. How many years has it been since rain? We need it. We need it. Hopefully, next few days we can get some rain here in the upstate. But stay safe out there. Shane, I know Shane said there was a bad wreck over the Five Forks, Simpsonville area. So stay safe out there, Tolos. Appreciate you listening, however you're listening. Appreciate you watching the show, however you're watching, even for those out there that think I'm an idiot and don't like what I say sometimes and don't like the topics I bring up. Yes, even you, I appreciate you listening as well. And before we get back to that LSU Ed Orgeron conversation, I'm going to go on a little bit of a soapbox. Why? Because it's something that's been on my mind the last few hours. And, look, I'm solo. Diesel's on vacation. So I've got plenty of time to fill, right? So I'm going to go a little soapbox here and get something off my chest, and then we'll get back to the LSU thing. I don't like where we are in society anymore. People can't just have disagreements anymore, right? People can't disagree on things anymore without it being made into a big deal. What am I talking about? Where am I going with this? So in the last 24 hours, 48 hours, I've seen on social media, you've been probably, I'm sure you know someone or have a kid that's graduated. And high school graduations, college graduations are supposed to be a really unique thing, right? And just a couple of weeks ago, a local university here in the state was in the news because they didn't like who the speaker was at the graduation ceremony, so they made a big dilemma of it. Well, bam, she's no longer the speaker. And then a couple of high school graduations this week. People can't get along, right? For whatever reason, you've got to start fights. And I just saw a video not long ago from a local high school here in the upstate, graduation last night. And guess what people were doing after the graduation? They weren't acting civil. They weren't allowing their students to have the moment. They were fighting on the football field where the graduation took place. And I just get so sick and tired of this society that we live in. And then under the comments and the fight video on Facebook, there's some trash talking going on back and forth, some okay trash talk. And then another school in the county's brought up. And now there's this entire dilemma being made about a certain speech where a certain student quoted a certain person that somebody else doesn't like. And I'm just so sick of this society that we live in where you can't disagree with anybody without it becoming this big ordeal, without it becoming personal, right? It's always got to be this big issue, this big personal issue. And instead of coming together and saying, you know what? It doesn't matter who said this quote, who said that quote, who said this, who said that. Let's just all try to be good human beings and be good people and get along and not make everything such a big deal. But guess what? We can't in this society. For whatever reason, we have to make everything a big deal. Everything's got to be made a big deal. And there's fights and there's people that have problems with this. They get offended about that. They go on they make these big situations. It's just one thing after another. And I don't know why. And I know there might be one person listening in the upstate today. There might be 1,000. I don't know how many. But for how many ever people are hearing this, what does it take for us just to get back to a society where we get along? If we disagree with somebody on something, we disagree. Guess what? I disagree with a lot of people on a lot of things. It doesn't change my temperament towards them. It doesn't change how I treat them. It doesn't change how I act around them. And it's just so sad to see in this season and era of graduation, you can't even get on social media. You can't even attend a graduation without a fight breaking out, without somebody being mad that a certain speaker speaking, so they had to pull the plug and go get a new commencement speaker because somebody got offended about something, right? And then they get mad about a quote that was said. Well, why'd this person say that quote? Because a certain person said that quote, and I don't like that certain person, so I've got a big issue with that quote because a certain person said it. Here's the reality of it. And this is, I don't know why this has to become a news flash, but here's the reality. Let's say that there's somebody out there that has a great quote, whether it's Martin Luther King Jr. or whether it's Joe Biden or President. If it's a good quote, it's a good quote. If it means something, it means something. If it talks about being high in character or high in your faith or whatever it is, why do we have to make such a big deal about everything? Some of the people on Facebook and social media that just will cling on to anything to make a big deal of something because it offended them. They got upset. They didn't like who was quoted in the graduation speech. So they're going to go on Facebook and they're going to start typing away and they're going to get upset and offended. And all of a sudden they're going to bash this person, bash this school. It is just so pathetic in the world that we live in. And I know this is a soapbox. And I apologize if it's boring. It's not sports related. But sometimes I just go on the soapbox. And today I'm going to go on that soapbox. Why do we have to make such a big deal of every single thing in the world if we don't disagree with something that's said? And you know, the funny part about most of these instances, most of these scenarios, a quote that's said, you probably at the end of the day in your heart of hearts agree with the quote. You just don't like who said the quote. So now you've got a problem with the person who said the quote, but you won't admit it. You actually agree with the quote. That's where we are in society. That's where we are. We've created this society where everybody's offended over everything. Nobody can get along. If you voted for this person, you're this. If you voted for that person, you're that. We paint people into boxes. We paint people into corners. And social media and the news, a large part of the reason we do this is because the news and social media has divided us as a society. But what is it going to take for us just to get back to being able to disagree with one another? And if I disagree with you and you disagree with me, whether it's political or religious or whatever it is, why can't we just have a normal conversation about it? Why can't we just, it should not affect, at the end of the day, we're all on the same plane. We're all going to the same place. We're all on the same journey of life together. But for whatever reason, these certain people just have it ingrained in their DNA that they've got to disagree and make a big deal of everything. I just don't get it. I don't get what happened to the days of just getting along with your neighbor, regardless of you, if you and your neighbor agreed politically or religiously or whatever it is. What happened to appreciating the fact that people have different thoughts and different opinions? We've gotten away from that. So that's my soapbox. In this season of graduation and ceremonies and awards and all these different things, it's sad to see that so many people are so selfish that want to make it all about them and then want to do anything that they can do to divide. You say, well, the media divide. No, you divide. If you allow the media to divide you and your friends and those people around you, you're allowing you to be the divider. It's you that's the problem. It's not the media. When you watch a TV show, when you watch a news channel, you can either like it or dislike it. You can follow what they do. You can watching the news doesn't make you a divisive person. It doesn't make you a divider. You have a choice in life whether you want to treat people well or divide. And for whatever reason, we live in this society where people want to just be a divider. They want to divide. They get upset with something. They go on these long rants, and it all turns into this and that, and it's just sad. It's just sad. So soapbox over, I think, for now. But I just want to get back to a place one day where we as society can get along with each other, regardless of what we believe, work together, live together. Newsflash, the building you work in, there's probably a lot of people in that building you disagree with, politically, religiously, ethically, morally. You still work with them. You still get along with them. You still want to be kind to them and be friends with them. I work with people in this building. Diesel and plenty of other people in this building. Guess what? We don't all have the same opinions on everything. We don't all agree on the same thing, religiously, politically, whatever it is. That doesn't mean that we hate each other or that we're divisive or that we just try to, be a a-hole about everything. But that's the society we live in. It's become a sad place to be. It really has. And I've seen a lot of this junk and crap over the last few days. And I just wanted to say, I think we all have to be better ourselves. Let's just all be better. If every single person was better, I think we'd be in a much better spot. But there's my rant. JB says, that's why I'm checked out on all this stuff, Cole. I'm so done with it all. The only thing that's getting us back is Jesus. Nothing else is going to work. I know I'm on my tiny idiot box now, but this little idiot box and social media is a big part of what's wrong with our country. It is, JB. And I agree with you. Whatever it is for you, whether it's your faith or whatever that helps you be a better person, cling to it, right? Cling to it. Because at the end of the day, we all are on the same plane together. Like I said, we're all going in the same direction. We all should want to get along and be cordial, but sometimes I guess that's just too much to ask, right? Anyways, there's my rant. There's my soapbox. I'm done for now. By the way, Rob Jones, a good friend of the show, is going to join me in the 5 o'clock hour. He works at the station right down the hall, WORD, and he's a big sports guy. He's going to join me in the next hour. John Whittle of the Big Spur are going to join me here in about 10 to 12 minutes. But let's get into this. Ed Orgeron, he's back in Baton Rouge. He has reunited with the team didn't they just ask him to leave not too long ago? That's right, they did. So Ed Orgeron back in Baton Rouge. It was announced late last night. And again, it was weird. It was like 11 o'clock. LSU announced they finalized the deal to bring Ed Orgeron back. Former head coach at LSU, obviously, which he led the team to the 2019 national championship with Joe Burrow. He reunites with LSU coach Lane Kiffin, Orgeron's longtime friend and colleague with whom he previously worked with, if you remember, at USC, Southern Cal, and Tennessee. They were last together in 2013 at Southern Cal. So it's been a minute, right? It's been a minute, but they're back together. And here's what I find so fascinating about this. Tolos, by the way, want to hear from you at 844-326-3663 when it comes to this Ed Orgeron news. Here's the best part. Ready? You ready? Best part? LSU paid him $17 million to leave, only for him to be back in 5 years. And I know it's in an assistant coach capacity. But LSU paid that guy. You remember the audio 5 years ago, right? Where he said, hey, which door do you want me to leave from? They paid him $17 million to leave. 5 years later, oh, you're back. You gotta love college football. You really do. Let's go to the phone lines, 844-326-3663. Who do we have?
Hey, this is Sean from Simpsonville.
Sean from Simpsonville. What's up, man?
Hey, my daughter is actually she just finished her sophomore at LSU. So I'm on a bunch of LSU Facebook pages. They are going nuts that Ed Orgeron is back.
No, in a good way or a bad way, Sean?
In a good way. They love him down there.
Yeah.
He fits the culture down there. And, they're ecstatic about it. They're like, ooh, here comes national championship. We got it, I mean, they are so excited about having him back.
Oh, that's good, man. And you said, Sean, your daughter goes to LSU?
Yeah.
How cool is that? That's awesome. Congrats to her, by the way.
Have you ever been there for a game?
No, Sean, I'll tell you I haven't, but I will tell you this. I'm considering going. So we have the opportunity, obviously, what we do to get media credentials at the games, the teams we cover. And, Clemson plays down there.
Right.
It's a long drive. Obviously, you could fly to cut a lot shorter, but I am considering it. I've always wanted to go see a game there. Here's what I don't know, Sean. I'm glad you brought that up. I don't know the press box situation if I would get the same experience as a media member as I would get as a fan at Tiger Stadium, right?
Oh, the fan experience is crazy there.
Yeah.
It's electric, and it's you have to do it. Cross it off your bucket list and do it.
So do it. Heck with it. Let's just go August. Is it August? It's August, right? Late August. Are you going, Sean?
We probably go up there for parents' weekend,
Yeah.
I have a friend that owns a restaurant down there, and he hooked us up with tickets, and you got to experience it.
Is the restaurant? Is it like a Louisiana restaurant? I mean, bucket list.
It's called Drago Seafood. Gotta hit it up.
God. That sounds good. That sounds good.
Yeah, they do char grilled oysters that are incredible.
Man, Sean, you've got to text in. I might have to get your contact. I'll tell you this. I am seriously considering going. I don't know if I will, but I am seriously considering going for the Clemson LSU game.
You have to. I'm telling you.
Got to.
Because, LSU is going to put the beating down
on
them.
No, I'm with you on that. I'm with you. Hey, how long is the flight, Sean? 2 hours? 2.5?
Oh, I don't know. I drive. It's about a 10-hour drive.
10 hours?
Yeah. It's an easy drive once you get through Atlanta. Yeah,
I was going to say, I used to drive to Dallas a lot when I lived out there. Do you split it up, Sean, or do you just go all one trip?
Nope. I go straight through.
Wow. That's a long drive. 10 hours. How about that? All right, here it is on May 21st. Well, let's just decide. I'm going to go. Screw it, right? Let's go.
Let's do it. You got to do it, man.
Sean, I appreciate you listening, and thanks for the call. Feel free to call back anytime.
No problem. Have a great day.
You too. 844-326-3663. Love it. Sean in Simpsonville. His daughter goes LSU. That's awesome. Congrats to her, by the way. And unfortunately, Sean, I do have to agree with you. If you're still listening, I do agree that I don't think it's going to be a Clemson win. Again, Diesel and I hadn't made our official predictions yet for the Clemson season. We'll do that probably late July, early August. But no, I don't think it's going to be a good trip. But I think you're right. Bucket list. I've always wanted to experience a game there, especially if you could go like in my position as a media member for free. Why not? Right? You've got to get there. That's the obviously the tricky part. But man, I want to go, man. And the food. Oh my gosh, I just want to go for the food. I've been to New Orleans, but Tiger Stadium night game. You kidding me? That place is going to be electric. So Ed Orgeron back, and Sean said, "Hey, all the message board, all the Facebook page, everybody's ecstatic as they should be. They love him." To your point there, Sean, and look, they paid him $17 million. They paid Ed Orgeron $17 million to leave just 5 years ago, and now he's back. Good for him, though. Good for him. I knew he would end up somewhere. I didn't know. I didn't know if it would work out, but he will be recruiting. Recent changes in NCAA recruiting rules will allow Orgeron to go out on the road to recruit for the Tigers, which I think will be awesome. He knows he can sell those two things well. LSU and Lane Kiffin, haven't worked with him, right? The move will raise eyebrows, I think, in the SEC. So you talk about a relationship that's been going on for 25 years or so. They were in 2001, they were together under Pete Carroll at USC. So these guys have a lot of history together. And I guess when you heading back home, if you will. How about that? All right, it's time to get to John Whittle. John Whittle of the Big Spur joins us every Thursday at 4:22. The Gamecock baseball coaching search looks like what? We'll ask John next.
Always streaming on the free Odyssey app. Search the Fan Upstate.
Time to talk Gamecock baseball. John Whittle, always appreciate his time. He joins the show every single Thursday at this time. And you need to make sure you give him a follow on Twitter if you haven't already, at John M. Whittle for 247 Gamecocks and 247 Sports. John, I'm going to start off with a curveball, right? We talk a lot of baseball on this show and with you specifically. But I've got a curveball that's kind of not really South Carolina baseball related, but South Carolina, the state related. NC State's coach retired today. He was there for 30 years. I know that Landon Powell is a big name, a name that's floated around a lot for the South Carolina baseball job. Does that make you say, Landon Powell's hometown, used to be a bat boy there? Does that one just make you raise your eyebrows a little bit, or do you think I'm thinking too far outside the box when it comes to maybe Landon Powell going up to NC State, John?
Well, a couple of things on that. First, I would tell you I would be shocked if it's not Chris Hart is the head coach, the current assistant coach up there, who's been with Elliott Avent for a while. Just being in the recruiting world, that's been the long time, I don't even want to call it speculation, but
Sure.
The long time understanding that he's going to be taking over for Elliott Avent. I'm not sure why it wasn't announced now, to be honest with you. But so I would say I would be shocked if he doesn't get
Gotcha.
that job. That being said, if he has a spot, if Chris Hart has a spot on that staff for Landon, that'd be intriguing. I mean, at some point, you either are married to North Greenville or you open yourself up to looking for other opportunities, I would say. And I'm not saying being married to North Greenville would be a bad thing.
Sure.
But at some point, there's got to be kind of the understanding that it's not going to happen at South Carolina, at least as a head coach, if it doesn't come to fruition this time around. I'm sure we'll talk coaching search here in a minute, but if it doesn't come to fruition this time around for Landon, I think you've got to start thinking about some other opportunities if you want to move somewhere outside of Tigerville.
No, I think you're right. I think I'm on the same page with you there, John. And, in life, when it comes to jobs and whatever else it is, timing's a big part of everything, right? And the timing, just for whatever reason and other things, haven't worked out for Landon Powell at South Carolina. I've heard for a long time, I'm sure you have as well, that South Carolina baseball, the head job, is the only job that Powell would leave North Greenville for, because he loves the area. His family's here. He loves Greenville, and he's built something really special up there and can probably win more national championships up in Tigerville. But I think you're right. That's what becomes interesting. If he doesn't get this job this go around, does he officially close the book on South Carolina? If it doesn't happen, would you be willing to say the book, the speculation probably is closed pertaining to Landon in South Carolina?
I mean, you never want to close the book completely, but I think you've got to open up your horizons more if you're Landon and you think you might want to do something else at some point. So, if he starts rattling off a whole bunch of national championships and, maybe you look at it, but I don't know how much more he can do at North Greenville to warrant getting a look besides what he's done. So, I won't ever say never, but, Ray Tanner was his guy, and Ray Tanner didn't feel like he could hire him. So it's going to be hard for me to think that, a different athletics director is going to come to a different conclusion.
One more note on that, because this is an intriguing part of it. Do you think, and you obviously covering the program knew Ray pretty well, do you think after the Holbrook experiment failed, John, do you think that Landon hadn't done enough yet to that point for Ray to pull the trigger because of the way that situation ended with Holbrook?
No, I think I don't think it had much to do with Holbrook. I think it was just more the fact that, you've been coaching at a completely different level and your duties are just a completely different responsibility. Yeah. I mean, the calls are the same and the instruction is kind of the same, but you're dealing with so many different levels of so many different things in coaching there versus here. And that was the biggest hesitancy from Ray on Landon versus anything else. And, just wanted just wanted to see him in a, some type of Division I role, whether it's some type of a recruiting role or just any kind of D1 deal. And, whether that's fair or not, I mean, that's up for debate. That's up for you and your listeners to decide. But that's what it is. I mean, that's the reasoning behind it.
It's interesting. When you look down memory lane, John, at the recent years of South Carolina baseball, going back to Ray Tanner, then Holbrook, then Mark Kingston, then Paul Maneri, now Monty Lee, you've been – I'm not saying that you've been in every conversation that, every single person has had, but you've been in a lot of these conversations. You've heard a lot of reports over the years. Now that it's 2026, we've seen a lot of different experiments not work since Ray Tanner, right? When you look back, John, do you think at all, and maybe the answer is no, do you ever think, man, if just this one little thing would have happened, if they would have just given Holbrook one more, if this would have happened, maybe do you think the outcome, South Carolina baseball, could be back to where it used to be when you look down memory lane?
The thing that immediately comes to mind when you ask me that question, and I can't remember all the ins and outs of the situation, but Wake Forest played Florida in a super regional down in Gainesville when Mark Kingston ended up being hired. And Wake Forest blew a game late. And I'm pretty sure that there was a home run that went off the glove of a Wake Forest outfielder and over the fence that helped Florida win that game. And then ultimately the game 3 of that super regional. If Wake Forest had come out of that and Florida was eliminated in that super regional, I believe Kevin O'Sullivan would have been the head coach at South Carolina back in 2015.
Yeah.
15. And that I think that is I think that's the one there
that's a good one.
That would always I think could have changed the trajectory of this thing. That's the one thing that comes to my mind.
Wow, that's a really good one. John Whittle, Gamecock 247, joining us right here on the Fan Upstate, 97.1 FM Spartanburg, 97.7 FM Greenville, 101.5 FM Anderson. If you have a question, Gamecock fans, for John, get it in on the Joy Law Firm text line, 844-326-3663. Now that the season is officially closed, the book closed, John, on 2026. This is the first time we've talked to you since the season's closed. The SEC tournament in Hoover just went just about how we expected. South Carolina not lasting long in Hoover, and now the season and the search begins. Do you know anything about what the process looks like in terms of a timeline with Monty Lee? I know he's campaigned. He said why he believes. Players have come out and said why they believe he should be the man. Have you heard anything in terms of when a decision will be made on Monty Lee, John?
Well, I don't think that they're going to just out and out, and I might be wrong on this. I mean, Jeremiah Donati may have different plans, but I wouldn't think that they're just going to out and out tell him that he is fired and has to pack up his office in the immediate future. I would think that they will talk to him and, at least grant him a courtesy interview here, probably sooner rather than later. But I don't think they're going to send him packing, just yet until they hire a head coach. So,
yeah,
I think it'll be similar to what happened after Mark Kingston, that, Monty will keep that interim tag and try to hold things together best as he can. But I think everybody kind of understands, including Monty, that the chances of him getting the job are very slim. And, but Monty's got to look after himself some too, in terms of, jockeying for employment opportunities in other places, which, haven't necessarily begun in full force yet, but, are going to be happening here soon.
A two-part question here for you, John. When would you say the interview process with other coaches outside of Monty Lee begins? And then the second part is, outside of Monty Lee, how many, I know you don't know exactly, but if you had to predict, if you had to guess, how many coaches would you say sit down in an in-person interview with Jeremiah Donati for this position?
Well, I'll answer your last question first.
Okay.
I don't think there's going to be very many. I don't think there's going to be more than probably just 2 or 3.
Wow.
In terms of like coming to campus and sit down with them. There's some things that can be done over Zoom for sure. Like there are ways around getting a guy onto campus now, and that's kind of been a little bit more common here lately in these searches. So, I also don't think that I don't think the candidate list is very long for Jeremiah either. So, that's part of it as well. And I forget the first part of your question.
Well, no, you kind of tied it in there. You kind of tied it in. Let's see. Texter gets in, John. This is an intriguing question for you on the Joy Law Firm text line. Texter asks, assuming the guy from Coastal, talking about Kevin Schnall, does come to South Carolina, the texter asks, do you think any of his commits will come with him? Do you think that's a possibility, John?
Well, I think a lot of the staff will end up coming with him, if we're being honest. And I think some players would come, and I don't have a list. Not that I would care to speculate anyway, but yeah. I don't have a list on who would come with them. And from a commitment standpoint, I would think that anytime you lose a head coach, I mean, we're seeing it with South Carolina, like you have players decommit, and I think there will be quite a few who would want to try to follow him to Columbia. And Coastal Carolina recruits the same players that South Carolina does. Like they're recruiting that caliber of players. So it's not like you're trying to fit some guys that are mid-major, your typical mid-major players into a Power 4 school. Like these are Power 4 players who are going to a mid-major school. It just happens to be a really good mid-major. So I think there'll be opportunities for some of those guys, and probably many will want to, because I think a lot of the coaches from down there, maybe not all, but I would think several of the coaches and staff members from Coastal would come up here if Kevin Schnall is ultimately offered and accepts the job.
We're talking to John Whittle, Gamecock 247, right here on the Fan Upstate. John, if you had to envision and do some critical thinking here, because I was thinking about this the other day, Kevin Schnall is a very proven commodity. We know his experience at Coastal Carolina. We know he's a Coastal guy. Do you believe, though, if that were to happen, if Kevin Schnall were to come to South Carolina, do you believe that there are any unknowns when it comes to what Kevin Schnall is used to? You talked about recruiting there. That's a big part of it, right? But when you look at his job responsibilities, his duties, translating from Coastal to South Carolina, obviously a different conference, do you think in the first few months, if that were to pan out, there would be some unknowns that may surprise him about this job?
Yeah, for sure. And there's always going to be some of that. I mean, I don't think Kevin is arrogant enough to think that he knows absolutely everything that needs to happen at an SEC program. Sometimes you have to figure it out on the fly. You would have an assistant coach in Matt Williams, who was at South Carolina for about a year, to help him out a little bit and kind of guide through some things and understand, what's probably around the corner. But at the same time, like there are going to be some things that are going to be different for him, and whether it's on the field or off the field. I mean, there are things that are probably going to take him off guard and that he's going to have to adjust to. But you know what? He's done such a tremendous job there. And like I said, like they run that program down there at Coastal Carolina like it's a high major Power 4 team. I mean, they've got a top 20 in the country operating budget. They've got 7 figures in the bank from an NIL standpoint. Like they do a lot down there that makes it feel more like a major program than a mid-major program. So the adjustment isn't going to be huge, but there's always an adjustment going from a mid-major type deal to an SEC type of deal. Heck, I'll put it like this for you. Brian O'Connor, who's been in this game for a long time, up at Virginia and is now at Mississippi State. I've got some connections over there in that Mississippi State program, and they remarked to me that it was an adjustment for Kevin, or excuse me, for Brian O'Connor. To go from Virginia to Mississippi State, like it's just a little bit different. It's just a little bit different. So, there's certainly going to be some things that Kevin or whoever will have to adjust to, because you look at kind of the top candidates that we know of right now, and none of them really have any history in the SEC. So it's gonna be a little bit different for Kevin or whoever.
So, John, as we sit here on the 21st day of May, it seems like, and again, nothing's official. Probably still a couple of weeks, I would imagine. Correct me if I'm wrong. There maybe 2 or 3 weeks from even finding anything out. But it feels as if there's a large majority of people who believe that it's Kevin Schnall or nothing on this. Is there a world in which you think there's a serious possibility it's not Kevin Schnall?
Yeah, well, and for a couple of reasons. One, like they haven't gotten into, as we talked about earlier, they haven't really gotten into the conversation standpoint from, an AD to a coach.
Yeah.
Like Jeremiah Donati hasn't talked with Kevin Schnall yet. Like there's question and answers and requests and needs that, for both sides that may not align. So that can throw a wrench into it. We know that Kevin has already turned down Tennessee. Now, Tennessee and South Carolina are completely different situations. So he's not scared to say no if something doesn't feel quite right. So I think there's still room for it to be somebody else. I also think there's room for it to be somebody else in terms of what Jeremiah Donati wants to do. He may decide he likes Fitzgerald out of Kansas a little bit more. He may decide he likes Ramsey at Georgia Tech, which I think that would be a tough pull. But he may decide that he likes that guy a little bit more. He may decide that he wants to go the assistant route instead. I don't think that'll happen. But I think it'll ultimately come down to whether he wants to try to get Fitzgerald or Schnall, and but I'm not closing the door on anything just yet. I've said, I think I said this on your show last week, and I've written it on the Big Spur that if you told me I had money to put down on Kevin Schnall or the field, I would put my money on Schnall and not the field. So that's the direction I think it'll end up going. But like you said, it's May 21st, and there's very little, if any, direct conversations that have been had with any candidate, Schnall or anybody else. And there's plenty of time for rising and falling on the pecking order, so to speak.
John, last question for you. The last time we were having these conversations, I know it was a different man in charge of the hiring process, but we had some names, we had a circle, we thought we knew, and then bam, out of left field, here comes Paul Mainieri. Who would you say is the left field candidate this time?
Steve Sabins at West Virginia, maybe.
Okay.
I mean, he's one that I've got my eye on. I mean, if you want to have fun, just throw Tony Vitello's name out there and see where it goes. That'd be way out in left field. But,
yeah.
And that would take some crazy, weird timing too. But no, I don't know. Like I'm not going to pretend that there's not an opportunity for somebody else to get in there, because there is, and I'm not going to pretend that I'm not missing somebody, because there's certainly that possibility. But everything I've heard is that Donati's going to have a pretty short list of candidates and knows that he can get one of the guys on that short list. So if somebody comes out of left field, it would be surprising to me, because I don't think he's got a dozen names on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be pretty concise, and we'll see. Maybe we're missing somebody out there. I've seen a couple of hot boards that are floating around on them, and maybe somebody's got something right, but I don't see that this time. I don't see it this go around.
Yeah, and I think I'm with you. Do you see, real quick, I know I lied to you, this is kind of a short question. Do you see Todd Interdonato's name anywhere on that list? Local ties?
Yeah, and I actually had him. I had on my initial hot on Monday. I don't know that he's there, but he's certainly that kind of coaches out there that haven't got him and Steve Sabins. I would, from West Virginia, I'd say the other three that we've talked about with the Ramsey and Fitzgerald and Strong, probably the three I'd circle most in those next two.
John, always appreciate your time. Fantastic stuff, and we will talk to you real soon.
Absolutely appreciate you.
That's John Whittle, Gamecock 247. Make sure you give him a follow on Twitter, on X. I'll tell you this, and Gamecock fans, you may agree or disagree. James Ramsey at Georgia Tech, that's a pipe dream. You're talking about somebody who was on staff for a long time, just recently promoted last season, and has maybe the best program in the country. Look, I know this might upset you if you're a Gamecock fan, and I don't know if John would agree or disagree with me on this, but I'll tell you, you're not getting James Ramsey. You're not. 10 years ago, maybe, South Carolina is not a good enough job right now to get James Ramsey. It's just simply not. He's got maybe the best situation. I mean, that guy is killing it at Georgia Tech. They are phenomenal. So we'll see. We'll see. Really good stuff there, though, from John Whittle of Gamecock 247. It's time to get to our headlines, Tolos, our daily wires next.
Text or call. One number does it all. 844-326-3663. That's 844-FAN-PHONE. This is Wire to Wire with Cole, Bryson, and Diesel of the Fan Upstate.
A lot to get to. A segment we do. We hit our headlines. What's the top stories? What are the top stories in the sports world? We call them our daily wires. The Thunder responded with a Game 2 victory to even the series before heading on the road, pulling out a 122-113 win over the San Antonio Spurs in the Western Conference Finals on Wednesday night. In Philadelphia, Eagles linebacker Nolan Smith Jr. was arrested Friday and accused of speeding and reckless driving in Georgia. The Twiggs County Sheriff's Office told ESPN on Wednesday, according to notes taken by a member of the Sheriff's Office that night, Smith was clocked at going 135 and a 70 on Interstate 1041. Must be something about driving fast in Georgia. I don't know what it is, but my goodness. LSU, maybe the biggest news of the day. LSU has finalized a deal to add Ed Orgeron, Coach O, to its football coaching staff. The school announced Wednesday night. Orgeron, the former coach at LSU, led them to a 2019 national title. And he's back, baby. He's reuniting with longtime colleague Lane Kiffin. They were together at USC in 2013. Orgeron's role will officially be a special assistant to recruiting and defense for the Tigers. In Denver, no team is immune to losing its first game of a playoff series, but the Colorado Avalanche and the Vegas Golden Knights have come close. The Golden Knights' 4-2 win over the Avs in Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals Wednesday night marked the 8th time they've grabbed the series opening victory in their last 9 playoffs matchups, so that's impressive there if you're a hockey fan. The only news I care about today concerns Joey Chestnut. How about this? Competitive eater Joey Chestnut. We all know him for the 4th of July hot dog eating contest, right? The reigning champion and 17-time winner of the Nathan's famous international hot dog eating contest will compete in the July 4th spectacle while on probation. After he pleaded guilty to a misdemeanor battery charge, Chestnut was accused of slapping a man on the face during a night out at an Indiana bar. His attorney, Mario Masmarelli, said he entered a guilty plea April 20th and was sentenced to 180 days of probation in Hamilton County, but a judge has come to the defense of America and is allowing Joey Chestnut to defend his title and the signature mustard belt on Coney Island this summer. So he is going to be competing in the competition while on probation. How about that? You can't make it up, can you? The Atlanta Braves were victorious on Wednesday evening with a 9-1 win over the Miami Marlins. Home runs were hit by Austin Riley. And how about an inside-the-park home run by Dom Smith? Are you kidding me? It still happens, baby. Love to see it. Love to see it for the Braves. Series finale between the Marlins and the Bravos tonight, 6:40 p.m. Spencer Strider will be on the bump for the Braves, while Sandy Alcantara will be pitching for Miami. With the Phillies losing to the Reds last night, the Braves now have a 9-game lead in the NL East. In case you missed it yesterday, Clemson landed commitments from 4-star running back Gary Walker and 4-star wide receiver Jamarin Simmons. And last one for you. I believe, who was it? Pac-Man Shuff brought this up on the text line. Big news today pertaining to college baseball. NC State head baseball coach Elliott Avent has announced his retirement after 30 seasons at the helm. So we'll see what happens up there in North Carolina. But NC State now looking for a new head ball coach. If you just heard, guess what? John Whittle said, probably going to be the guy that's already on staff. And if John Whittle says it, probably true, right? John doesn't know all, but he knows a lot. So we'll see what happens up there at NC State. All right, Tolos, we'll continue the conversation, but you know what time it is. It's Thursday at 5 o'clock, which means it's time for the Tolo Takeover, and I've got some crazy theories, rumors, prognostications to start the Tolo Takeover. You can call the show, 844-326-3663. That is next.
From the fields to the courts and the gridiron to the tracks,
Electrifying sports talk from start to finish.
you're going wire to wire
With Diesel and Cole Bryson.
on the Fan Upstate.
Well, the Tolo Takeover, it's here. It's your time to get in on the conversation at 844-326-3663. Whatever it is that you want to discuss, we'll go to it. We talk a lot. I talk a lot. I'm solo this week. Welcome in, by the way. I'm Cole Bryson. So good to be with you, but it's your chance to take over these airwaves, whatever it is you want to talk about. I want to talk about this. Brett Siegel of ClutchPoints.com. He's a good friend of the show. He is one of the fastest up-and-coming NBA reporters in the industry. And he comes on this show regularly. In fact, I'm going to try to have him on tomorrow. But Brett Siegel of ClutchPoints.com reported either early this morning or late last night that the Dallas Mavericks, maybe, just maybe, and not just maybe, they do, have interest for their next head coaching position in one certain college coach. Tolos, have you heard who this coach could be? Have you heard who this coach may be? And again, this is a report from Brett Siegel of ClutchPoints.com. He reports that the Dallas Mavericks have interest in Duke's Jon Scheyer. Jon Scheyer at Duke, maybe, just maybe, quite possibly is a pipe dream to leave Duke to go be the head coach of the Dallas Mavericks. I don't know. Duke is the best, and I mean like not top 5, not top 3. Duke is the best college basketball job there is, without a doubt. And there's not even close second. Duke's the best job in the country. If you're Jon Scheyer, and I know money talks, I get that. I get it. But if you're Jon Scheyer, would you consider leaving Duke for Dallas? It's an NBA job. You're reunited with one of the best up-and-coming one of the best up-and-coming players in the NBA in Cooper Flagg. But if you're Jon Scheyer, and again, this is more toward like, look, this is not like a report that they're in talks or anything like that. I believe Jon Scheyer is very happy where he is. But let's just go down that road, because that's what we do here on sports radio talk shows, right? We venture down roads that sometime may not happen. Let's just say Jon Scheyer got the phone call. Hello, this is John. Hey, John, this is the owner of the Dallas Mavericks. I was just calling. The owner of who? The Dallas Mavericks. Oh, okay, go ahead. I was just calling to see if you would, if you'd have interest in this basketball job we have up here or down here in Dallas. And John says, you talking about the head, like the head job or an assistant? What job are we talking about? Yeah, president comes back. Yeah, the head job with the Dallas Mavericks, John. Would Jon Scheyer be interested? Jon Scheyer's got a good thing going at Duke. Now, I know Jon Scheyer has not achieved the success that we're expecting him to at Duke, which is winning national championships, which is hanging banners. That's kind of the goal at Duke, right? That's what you go to Duke to do, is hang banners. And I'm not talking about ACC championship banners. Those are nice. But hanging national championship banners. Would Jon Scheyer be interested in that job? That's the question I ask you. And I'm thinking about it myself. Want to hear from you. 844-326-3663. The Joy Law Firm text line's open. Phone lines are open as well. It is the Tolo Takeover. If you want to get in and take over these airwaves, you can do so. We've had a lot of good calls already today. Maybe all the Tolos called before the Tolo Takeover, which is fine. Appreciate you calling whatever time you can. I understand you may not be able to call every Thursday at 5. You might have to work. Some people have to work for a living, right? But I'm going to ask Rob Jones this question. Rob's going to join me in a few minutes, I think. Rob just works right down the hall. He's on the station a lot. You hear him a lot. WORD. He's going to pop in for a few minutes since I'm solo. I'm going to ask Rob this question. If you're Jon Scheyer, how do you feel about that job? If that phone, and again, I don't know if the phone call was made. I don't know if the phone call has been made. Brett Siegel's reporting it. I also saw some reports that where there wasn't a lot of interest from Jon Scheyer. I don't know if those reports are true or not. But I can just tell you, it wouldn't have been reported by Brett Siegel for no reason. Rob Jones is in the building. Rob, you are 6 minutes and 11 seconds late. I am so disappointed in you.
All right, so listen, I'm doing this for free. So I was over
That's
there
correct.
doing my job they
Your
pay
real
me
job.
for.
The real
right?
job?
So I'm late, okay?
You're late for a job that you're doing for free.
But I'm here.
You're here. You're
right?
here.
So
I'm just
being
giving you a
here
hard
is
time.
It
is. I'm giving you a hard time.
Right.
It is. I'm giving you. So here's the topic of conversation. Brett Siegel. Do you know who Brett Siegel is?
Yes.
He's an NBA reporter for Clutch Points. He comes on this show all the time, like maybe once, twice, once every 2 weeks, something like that.
Okay.
Brett Siegel reported that there was interest from the Dallas Mavericks, who just fired Jason Kidd. I can't figure that out. But there was interest in Duke's Jon Scheyer.
Okay.
So the question is, if you're Jon Scheyer and I pick up the phone, I'm the owner of the Dallas Mavericks, and I call you, not Rob Jones, but Jon Scheyer, what is your thought process? Are you interested in leaving Duke for Dallas?
For the right amount of money, I would go to a third world country.
Okay,
so,
and that's
yes.
fair. That's fair. So let's see. Jason Kidd, and I'm not saying Jon Scheyer would make what Jason Kidd was making. Jason Kidd, he had an extended contract worth over $40 million, 4 years remaining. His annual salary, Rob, was approximately 8.5.
Okay. What does Jon Scheyer make at Duke?
Not 8.5, I don't believe, right?
All right.
So I get it. And that's what I led the segment with was, hey, money talks, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. The reports are that he's making between 7 and 8. So he's not far off. It don't look like he's far off.
If you're not far off, I don't think he would take the job for a lot of reasons. He's Duke through and through, played there, alumni, all that. 1. 2, Dallas is a mess, man.
It's a mess, yeah.
They're a mess. Their top 3 perimeter players are between 34 and 36 years old. When you look at their roster and Kyrie and you look at Chris Middleton, Klay Thompson, right?
Yeah.
Like
other than Flag, they're kind of a mess.
Yes, they've got a promising young front court with Cooper Flagg and Marvin Bagley, who's come on in late years, and P.J. Washington from Hornet. With those guys, but they have a mess in the backcourt. They got to clean up and try to build toward the future. And if I'm Jon Scheyer, I'm coaching more first-round picks for year Duke than I'm going to get at Dallas anyway.
And that's what I said, that Duke, and we talked about this when North Carolina went through their coaching spell a couple of months ago with when they had their head coaching vacancy. We said North Carolina was still like a very good job, not the job. Duke is the job. There is no other
in
job.
College basketball, they're the job.
They're the job.
Also, the other thing that I think people overlook, I've always said this, in the NBA, I don't think the head coach matters that much till you get to the playoffs.
Let me correct myself. I'm sorry. Google, you can't always trust Google. I'm reading a report from yahoo.com that said, and again, this is yahoo.com, that said Duke men's basketball coach Jon Scheyer earned $2.38 during the 2025-2026 season. That might have been like his overall deal, but it looks like he was making around 2.8, maybe close to or 2.38. So I'm sorry, maybe close to
more
2.5.
than double money probably
to
for
leave.
him to take this
Sure,
job.
Sure.
Maybe, I don't know. Like how motivated is he by the money? How motivated would he be by taking the challenge on at the highest level in the pros? But I honestly don't think that the head coach matters as much as the general manager does until you get the playoffs. In Dallas, or anywhere until you get the playoffs.
I'm with you. He's a Duke guy. He's 124-25 over 4 seasons at Duke, right? Duke has only lost 7 games in the past 2 years, which 2 of them were in ACC play. One was to Clemson, by the way. The Elite 8 loss to UConn was the 3rd consecutive season ending during the 2nd week of the NCAA tournament. So we all know why he went there. Is what I was saying before you got in here. He went there to hang banners. That's what the expectations are.
Final Four every year, dude.
Right? Yeah. Every year. He hadn't gotten there. He hadn't won a championship yet. But I think when you've got a good thing going, I think if you continue to do the right thing and you're doing the right things and you see it, I think you'll eventually break through. Now it's competitive. With the NIL, I think it's making it more challenging for a Duke.
Right.
But I think you have to bank on what you've done.
Right.
You don't just walk away from Duke.
Well, he has made the Final Four once at Duke. He just hasn't won a championship there.
Right.
You
might be fired in Dallas in 2 years, 3 years.
I don't care. I'm going to get such a buyout. They could fire you in 3 months. I mean, who cares?
I know, I'm with you. And again, it comes back to what you said, though. Where's his priorities when it comes to money? I mean, if you're happy making 2.38, whatever it is, in North Carolina, and I know Dallas, it's still an NBA job. I get that. I just, it's not going to happen. Right. But I just think, like I said before you walked in the room, this is what we do on sports radio. We go down roads. Speculate. It would be interesting. I just don't know that if I'm him and if I'm in his situation, I don't know that I can walk away from Duke. How many coaches get the opportunity to be the head? Now, I know Dallas, I mean, it's an NBA job. I get it. But how many coaches get the opportunity to be the head guy at Duke? I mean, not many.
No, it's a prestigious job for real. It is. It'll be hard, I think, to lure him. And the other thing is, you and I see money and talk about money differently than people like that who have millions of dollars. Sure. Right. So we'll see. I don't know enough about him personally to know how motivated he would be for that job.
Rob Jones, WORD, sitting in with me. I'm Cole Bryson. If you just tuned in, you can get in on the conversation, by the way, 844-326-3663. Rob, I do want to ask you about a few things I've already touched on the show today. The first one, Ed Orgeron, he's back for about a quarter of a century. Ed Orgeron and Lane Kiffin have had a really good relationship. They've all back to 03, 01, under Pete Carroll and Southern Cal. They've known each other for a long time. Sean from was it Sean? And if it's not Sean, I apologize. I think it was Sean from Simpsonville called in earlier. His daughter goes to LSU, and he said all the message boards, Facebook, he said they're just in glorious worship right now. As you can imagine, they love that guy out there, right? They love him, so they're just they're in awe, I guess is the right way to put it. I guess from a recruiting standpoint, now that the recruiting rules have changed, you can send this guy out on the road and maybe that helps recruiting, but big deal, or are we making too much of this?
Probably a little bit overblown. I called Ed Orgeron earlier. I do know him. I reached him for comment about this hiring, and he said, quote, y'all. LSU football.
That's what he said.
I'm back.
That's what he said. And that is pretty accurate. Yeah.
No, I do. I have met Ed a few times and had the pleasure of being around him. Great guy. He is a hero in Louisiana. Sure. He's one of them, man. And all those people back him. He won a championship there. He beat Alabama with Nick Saban. I mean, he did a lot of things for that program, and those people love him. A lot of people think maybe he got a raw deal at the end, and I kind of agree with it, but he got paid big time.
$17 million.
I don't know how much of a deal this is going to be in terms of, how much impact this is going to make in terms of X and O football, but recruiting, it can't hurt, man.
No, I don't think it hurts. I think it's more, though, and I like Coach O a lot. I mean, you said it. He's a Louisiana guy. I think it's more of a feel. Not saying he can't impact the team. I think it's more of a feel-good, rah. Maybe help a guy out. You help guys out in the industry, You help guys out. Been around a long time. You have the opportunity to help guys out that you've been with, Rob. You do that. And again, I'm not saying that he's not going to be helpful. Like, I do think there are certain things on the recruiting standpoint that he might be helpful with when it comes to Lane Kiffin. And he can say, hey, Lane, this is where we really got our bread and butter from in this part of the state. So it could be helpful.
It could be, but there's also the Pandora's box possibility here. You hire a guy that's already beloved in Louisiana, has coached there before. If things start going south for Lane Kiffin, the people of Louisiana are going to say get rid of Lane Kiffin and put Coach O back in this spot.
You don't think that would happen in Louisiana?
I don't think it would, but
no, I'm just saying you don't think the fan.
Would the fans do it? Yeah, absolutely. The fans would talk.
That would be interesting. That would be bad, Rob. That would be bad.
So there is that possibility.
There is.
By bringing him in. But I think it's great for the profile of the program and for recruiting. Sure. And you put Lane Kiffin together with Ed Orgeron, it's going to be hard to out-recruit those guys.
I can tell you what's going to happen. they're either going to win 5 championships or everybody's going to jail. One of the two things is going to happen.
Or both.
Or both.
Or both.
They all win 5 championships. Everybody still goes to jail.
I think it'd be hard to go to jail now, though, because almost everything is legal in college football now.
Feels like it. You're right.
It would be a little hard. I mean, unless he's orchestrating some sort of armed robbery down there in Baton Rouge or something. Yeah. I don't know how you would exactly go to jail.
Good for him, though.
I love it because I'm a big fan of Coach O. He's kind of my spirit animal in a lot of ways, and I'm glad he's back, man. Good for him.
Coach O back in Baton Rouge. All right. One other topic. We talked to John Whittle of Gamecock 247 at 422. He comes on with us every Thursday, Rob, and he's one of the best Gamecock baseball insiders. And, with the baseball season now being over for South Carolina, one might say it's been over for the entire season, but last night they lost, or Monday night, whatever night it was, they lost to Tennessee in the SEC championship in Hoover, right? Now it's over. Now you go out, a lot of talk around Coastal Carolina, Kevin Schnall for the baseball job. What I found interesting, and while it's still an attractive job, yesterday, Rob, I had Aaron Fitt of D1 Baseball on the show. And, Aaron's one of the biggest, most well-known baseball writers in the country. He came on the show yesterday. And I asked him, I said, is South Carolina still nearly as glamorous of a baseball job as it was 10 years ago? And he said, not even close. He said, in fact, he would probably even put it in the bottom half of the SEC.
Okay.
When it comes to baseball jobs.
Okay.
So do you like the idea of Coastal Carolina's Kevin Schnall, who, by the way, they're still playing, right? They're playing App State right now. Do you like that idea of him coming to Columbia? Is that the Band-Aid that they need to get back to prominence in your mind?
I don't know if they'll ever be back where they were.
Yeah.
But I think Kevin Schnall is the closest and the hire right now that makes the most sense to bring him in. I don't think he can be any worse than they've been. I do think he would improve the program. Is he the Messiah, so to speak? Well, I don't know about that. A lot remains to be seen to prove that.
And that's the problem. What you said there, you said you don't know if they'll ever be back. That's the problem. A lot of Gamecock fans saw the success that Ray Tanner had, how good they were, and now they've got this portrait, this image in their mind that, hey, we can get back there. You go ask Vandy. You go ask Florida. It's hard to stay at the top of the game. It's hard. Getting there is one thing, and Dabo Swinney can tell you that on the foot. Staying there is another thing, and Vandy and Florida can attest to that. So I agree with you. I don't know if they'll ever get back there. By the way, Coastal is leading App right now in the Sun Belt Tournament 8-2 in the bottom of the 8th inning. So it looks like they will advance to the next round of the Sun Belt Tournament with a win over App State. Landon Powell, obviously a name that gets thrown around.
Always will be.
But I just don't know, for whatever reason, why South Carolina doesn't feel like he's done enough to get the job.
It's because they don't know how to frame it or take it publicly that a Division II coach is who they're going to hire. It's a PR thing. It's got to be.
I think I agree with you.
As a guy who spins things for a living in the PR realm, in the media realm, I can tell you it's a PR move. It's got to be.
Well, I don't push back on that. I just think, look, I've said it. We've had this debate and conversation many, many times, and we'll run to a break in a second. But I've said, Rob, look, if you can coach base, and I'm glad you brought that up about the PR stuff. I was having a conversation over the weekend with a former baseball player who played at USC Upstate right here in Spartanburg. And we were having that same conversation about why the AD, the traditional hiring format, why does Landon Powell not fit that? Why does he not fit the mold, even though he's won a national championship in Tigerville, South Carolina? Why does he not fit the mold? There are, as you know, multiple paths to winning a national. There's not one cookie cutter formula is what I'm saying. There are other ways you can win a national championship. My whole thing is, hey, look, does it really matter that he hasn't coached D1 baseball when he's coached D1 baseball players on his roster at the Division II level? You can spin it how you want, but he's coached D1 players for a long time now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's coached against D1 players for a long time.
True. I mean, for me, I would hire him. I wouldn't have any issue hiring him, but I understand why they're taking the path away from him, just because it's a PR nightmare. Because if you hire him and he's unsuccessful, then everybody's going to say, we told you not to hire that D2 coach.
Yeah.
You know, this ain't the Bush League, this is the SEC, yada, yada.
And I get it. The SEC, the SEC is competitive. I do get that. On the Joy Law Firm text line, 844-326-3663, Keith and TR gets in. He says, you spin it by saying he's got a 75% winning percentage and wins everywhere. D2 or not, baseball is baseball. And Keith, I think a lot of people agree with you on that. People say, baseball is baseball. If he can win in Tigerville, he can probably win with a lot more resources in the SEC in Columbia, right? But I think what you said, Rob, I think there's truth to that. Unfortunately, they would never admit it. South Carolina would never admit it. No, you
can't say something like that.
Right, but I think there is truth to that. Before we run to a break, because we're going to talk some high school stuff here in a minute as well, Aaron Rodgers announcing his return to the Pittsburgh Steelers, rejoining with Mike McCarthy, and announcing this is his last year. Your thoughts, your reaction to that? I think that came out on Tuesday, or was it yesterday? I think it was Tuesday. Aaron Rodgers coming back for one more. Obviously, him and Mike McCarthy won a championship together in Green Bay. I talked about it a little bit on Tuesday. Does Aaron Rodgers have one more left in him?
No, he doesn't.
It's done?
In Pittsburgh, if they don't dig up Chuck Noll's corpse and put him in, they got no chance of winning a Super Bowl, I don't think. It would shock me if they did. No, not with Aaron Rodgers. And Mike McCarthy, has been great, but I just don't see it for them. And I think Aaron Rodgers has been on the tail end for quite a while now, man.
He has. Look, he's 42 years old. And let me tell you this. I say that in the same breath of saying this. Aaron Rodgers, like in his prime, I remember watching that guy and thinking, that might be the best quarterback I've ever watched over football. And in his prime, what he could do, Rob. I mean, he was great. He was great.
And I watched a documentary about him, too. And what makes him great is he's so smart, man.
Yeah.
Like, he was a genius. What he does with the pre-snap reads, man, is not even about the defense. It's about the algorithm of what routes are likely to be open. Like, and that kind of blew my mind, man, that's like his IQ is that high. And that's why he's been able to survive this long. But he just hasn't really had it. He's been past his prime for a long time now. And I don't see some miracle in the bottle in Pittsburgh.
No, I don't either. I think I side with you there. We'll continue the conversation. Hour number 3 rolling along. Tolos, if you want to get in on the conversation, you can do so. 844-326-3663. Rob Jones from WORD joins the show. We're talking everything you might can imagine. You can join the conversation next.
Gamecocks.com. The ball's in your court.
Well, I'm Cole Bryson. The Diesel's on vacation this week. As you know, if you've been listening, if you've followed this week, Rob Jones, though, from right down the hall, WORD, sitting in me during the 5 o'clock hour, giving me some company. It's nice to have some company. It took 4 days, but Rob, I'm glad to have you here.
Well, I'm glad to be here.
It's a lot more fun.
I always love doing this show, man. I really do. I'll lend my endorsement. If you guys are running for office, I'd vote for you. I love doing this show, and anytime I get an opportunity to do it, I try to do it. Although they do keep me busy over there on the flamethrower.
They do. Unfortunately, they do, but it's part of it, right?
Yeah.
So you, Rob, are a big high school guy, high school sports guy. Obviously, I am as well. We have a lot of listeners that love high school football, basketball, baseball. Obviously, we cover baseball, basketball, and football. I get texts regularly during baseball season on the text line about baseball, high school baseball games, and I've been to a lot of games this year. For example, Upper State Championship tonight. Game moved to 6 o'clock, so 30 minutes from now, Dorman-Spartanburg for the Upper State Championship. Pretty big over at Duncan Park in Spartanburg. Adam and a lot of Tolos always text about high school baseball. So we've got some really talented baseball right here in the Upstate. But the reclassifications, Rob, are really interesting. That's still one of the biggest talking points for people who do enjoy high school football and just high school sports in general. Boy, does 5A and 4A, especially starting there at the top, then we'll work our way down, look a lot different when you look and you see 5A, okay, you've got the Burns and the Dormans of the world, but where's that team that's up 85 that's normally in 5A?
Oh, you mean the boys from the reservation?
Yeah, not in 5A anymore. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, I think Brock Hamrick is already tuning up the band for the championship ceremony in 4A. They're obviously South Point Rock Hill is going to be a major challenger, but to me, when I saw that, the future of 4A is Gaffney versus South Point Rock Hill. I think pretty much every year one of those two teams is going to represent the Upstate in 4A football. I think Gaffney is absolutely got to be ecstatic that they have moved down, although them moving out of 5A, to me, tarnishes a little bit of the rivalries they had.
It's not the same.
The Burns and the Dorman rivalries and stuff like that.
You still play them, but it being out of region, it just doesn't feel quite the same. You still want to win.
You want to win, and it matters to the people there. But honestly, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter if you lose a non-region
thank God they brought back RPI, right? So you have it. So like a couple of years ago, remember when there was no RPI, it didn't matter. A non-region game was pointless.
Yeah,
so
I had forgotten that RPI is
at least it matters a little bit. Yeah. But to your point, it's not a region game. I agree with you. I joked with Donnie Littlejohn, their head coach, a couple of weeks ago, and I asked him, I said, Coach, did you ever think, you're a Gaffney guy, been there your whole life, did you ever think you'd be the Gaffney Indians head football coach and think one day on a Friday night we're going to gear up for a region game against Travelers Rest? And that's no disrespect to TR, because those guys work hard. And I'm not dogging TR, because we have a lot of respect for what they do.
Chris Goodman's a good football coach.
He is, and they have. But who would have thought that you would ever see Gaffney and TR on a region schedule together?
Yeah, no, not me. And look, you're being as nice as you can about TR. I love the town, but that football program is a mess. And Chris Goodman is a good football coach, and they're making some strides, and they'll continue. But yeah, they biting off a little bit too much there with Gaffney. And yeah, to your point, the realignment does hurt some of the traditional rivalries. There's no way around it.
There's no way around it. How about this region? Region 2, 5A. Bowling Springs, Dorman, Fort Mill, Northwestern, Rock Hill, and Spartanburg.
Pretty loaded.
Back in the day, obviously, you had the Big 16 was Rock Hill and those teams involved, but now you've got a region that contains some of the teams from the old Region 2, 5A. Then you throw in Northwestern. You throw in Fort Mill. Fort Mill, we don't have any listeners there, I don't think, so we can talk. We can say they're not that good, right? Rock Hill's gotten a lot better. Rock Hill's going to be good.
Well, the thing that killed Rock Hill football was the advent of South Point High School.
Yeah.
Rock Hill's not been the same since South Point's been around. That area was where a lot of Rock Hill's top athletes
and they're getting a lot better. Rock Hill, I saw them last year in the playoffs. They were talented then, and I think they're going to be pretty good this year. But the big thing about that region is you've got some of the blue bloods. The two takeaways I had, Rob, it was, okay, you add Northwestern. You got,
might be, other than Dutch Fork, probably the favorite to win
the
it.
Gold standard, right? Yeah. Other than Dutch Fork. And then the second takeaway is you remove Burns from that region. So Burns for all these years has been in the region with Dorman and Gaffney and Spartanburg and Bowling Springs. And now you look at Region 2 and Bowling Springs, Dorman, Fort Mill, Northwestern, Rock Hill, Spartanburg. Dorman's really good talking football.
Really
played
good
for
basketball too.
Of course. Played for an upper state championship last year in football, but my gosh, that is a region that we just, again, same thing with Gaffney and 4A. It looks different. It looks different on paper.
Feels a lot different.
It feels different.
Is Spartanburg in that region?
Spartanburg's in that region.
Okay, as long as they keep Spartanburg and Dorman together, like that matters to a lot of people and to me too.
But here in Dorman and Burns, not in the same region. Spartanburg, Burns, not the same. Burns and Gaffney, not the same region. You know, it is weird.
It's weird, dude.
I don't know. That one's going to be a gauntlet. We all know that in football. Talking about high school football,
depends on who you are.
Depends on who you are. But my God, Dorman played for the upper state champion. Northwestern's won 2 in a row. Right? Spartanburg's good every year. Rock Hill's getting better. Fort Mill. And I feel like Fort Mill and Bowling Springs are sitting there thinking, and no disrespect, they're thinking, my gosh, what a hill to climb, right?
I'm not sure that you could put a team together with the best players from Rock Hill, Bowling Springs, and Fort Mill and win the region. If you put an all-star team together from those three teams.
That's a tough region. Let's look at 5A. Dutch Forks region has White Knoll, River Bluff, Lexington, Chapin. That region 2 5A is the
if Georgia, region. Tennessee, and Florida ain't in that division with Dutch Fork, I ain't worried about Dutch Fork.
No, that they're in a very favorable region. Region 5 is interesting with Ashley Ridge, Fort D, Somerville, West. It's interesting, but region 2 5A. That's your.
Give us region 1.
Region 1 is Burns, East Side, Hillcrest, J.L. Man, Malden, and Woodmont. So Burns, I don't know. I have heard that it was a little bit to do with like the geography side of it. Burns was out of that region the closest to Greenville County. Just if you're looking up 85, they are. Yeah. And they kind of fit in. Like Burns's longest road trip this year in football, Rob, is Woodmont. And that's 25 minutes.
Yeah, and I also think that they didn't want to split Spartanburg and Dorman. I think they were like, we don't want to split Spartanburg and Dorman, you know.
But for that region in football, obviously one would think that Burns and Hillcrest are going to be the two, that battle it out.
Yeah.
And Hillcrest, I mean, how good they've been in the last few years under Bennett Swaggart. Now he left, and obviously Coach Swaggart goes to Clover, and Amos Lamb taking over at Hillcrest. They've got everybody I talked to, and I talked to a lot of coaches. Hillcrest is loaded. They're loaded. I saw them a couple of days ago with that Spartanburg showcase, where colleges were there. They've got a good team, so I think it's going to come down to Burns and Hillcrest in that region, Rob.
Well, and it never hurts if you're a school like Hillcrest to be in Greenville County, because Greenville County schools is one district all across the county. So you open up some borders there in terms of guys that you can bring in without affecting the multiplier rule,
right?
Because the multiplier rule only matters if it's a guy outside of your district.
So Diesel and I were talking about the multiplier rule last week, and I wish I could fix this because I think this would be a very helpful fix. You know about the multiplier, right? We were talking to Lou Bazjack of the state newspaper. Lou. My issue with the multiplier is this. I like the idea of what the multiplier does in certain scenarios, but here's my one thing I cannot understand. Why in high school athletics, why does the multiplier rule, if you, Rob Jones, are sitting in let's use a classroom at East Side High School, for example, you do not play sports. You're in the fine arts program, maybe you're in the band or you're fine arts. Why is somebody who doesn't play sports counted in the multiplier that only directly affects sports? So Wade Hampton, for example, they're not getting any favors. Yeah, they dropped down, but it's still tough. I don't understand why kids that aren't playing sports are counted in a multiplier that are only affecting sports.
Well, and they're only counted if they're from outside of district, too.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. But think about if you took out all the kids outside of the district that were not on sports teams, some of those teams would probably drop down and have a much better chance. I would think.
If I'm the administration in a place, especially somewhere where I can be a little bit selective in terms of charter school and that kind of thing and have a limited number of enrollment, that's something I definitely take under consideration. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Timmy can play the tuba in his own district.
Right. Now, basketball, I mean, that those interesting, those regions that are interesting with Bowling Springs and Dorman and Fort Mill and Northwestern, Rock Hill, Spartanburg. It feels like Dorman's got number one, the pedestal in that region in basketball because they're such a good program. And then you take Burns out and, they would never admit this, but Thomas Ryan's probably glad he doesn't have to play Dorman or Burns in region. And then Lane Fowler's probably glad they're still going to play each other, but they can both still win the region.
Yeah.
Now. You know what I mean?
That's true. And, the challenge for Burns basketball will be Malden in their new region because Malden's been
pretty good.
But I think for Burns coming up with Colt Fowler coming back and all that, I really think state championship is probably the expectations for them, So I like the fact that they kind of split them off in terms of basketball so that they both have the opportunity. But I do kind of miss the old rivalries, at least to me in football, especially because in basketball, you can kind of play outside of your region, you can play whoever you want and people challenge themselves.
Now, keeping it on the hardwood basketball, going back down to 4A region two with Gaffney. Gaffney hadn't been good the last several years in basketball, but you've got Greenville, who's been a juggernaut, right? Playing for state championships. Greer, who's pretty good, got a lot of young talent. Riverside, who's a juggernaut, playing for state championships. They just played each other in the upper state championship. TR and Wade Hampton. Wade Hampton, they're not a slouch team.
Traditionally, they've been
it's not a
good.
slouch team. So that's a pretty tough basketball region where, and it's funny how sports flip. In football, it's Gaffney's region to lose. In basketball, Gaffney's probably near the bottom looking up, right?
Well, and I've been in states and covered high school sports in places where you can be 4A in basketball and 5A in football and whatever in baseball, So this state is unique in that whatever class you're in that all the way through, no matter what you do. It's going to be kind of interesting when you kind of flip it over and you look at the basketball end of it. I tell you what, Cole, to me, the move to move a lot of teams down from 5A really is going to help the lower classes to me because everybody kind of gets better. If you look now back down into 3A, you've got Daniel coming back to 3A. You've got Seneca coming back to 3A. BHP,
same region too, right?
Yeah, same region. And will always probably, it's kind of like Dorman and Spartanburg. Right. It's always going to be, a situation where they want to put them together and keep them together. And you got BHP, you got Wren now back in 3A. You've got Powdersville. So you've got very competitive regions in 3A. 3A football is getting a lot better with those additions.
It is.
To me, I looked at the realignment for 2A and Region 2A, to me, Cole, might be the best, at least in the upstate, might be the best region top to bottom in football.
I looked at that too. So you've got Chesney, Clinton,
MVP,
Landrum, Southside Christian, and Woodruff. And I'll tell you what, that's a hot mess in football. I mean,
that's going to be tough, man.
I mean, Woodruff's obviously the class of the region this year, like right now because of Aiden Gibson. And I think Woodruff's the state championship team this year, but Mountain View Prep's sitting there like, hey, don't forget about us because they're really good.
And Corey Fountain's down there at Clinton saying, I just won a state championship 2 years ago.
That's a tough one. And look, Chesney's getting better every year. Brett Chappell does a great job.
Southside Christian's usually pretty good.
Tough. So, and then I hate to say this like that, but Landrum, my gosh, I mean, it's a gauntlet. I mean, that is a gauntlet if you're a Landrum, depending on who you talk about, depending on who you are. I mean, if you're a little old Landrum up there, you feel like, my gosh.
I'm a risk to alienate some people by saying this, but Landrum's a basketball school. It kind of always has been in my experience and probably always will be.
Well, it's a tough region. And go back to basketball. I mean, Woodruff's pretty good program. Southside Christian.
MVP.
MVP is good basketball. I think they won the region. So It's going to be interesting for football. I would say Woodruff and MVP are going to be right there battling out for first, right?
I don't think you can count Clinton out, though, man.
I just think Woodruff this year with the firepower. No, I agree with you. You can't count them out. Every year, like Woodruff Clinton, that's one of the best games of the year.
Mm-hmm.
There's no,
although Woodruff has beaten them twice in a row now.
It's always a good game. So you can't count them out. I just think that the fire, I'm telling you, you talk about state championship or bust. It's state championship or bust for Woodruff this year. I mean, it is. They with Aiden Gibson, I interviewed him last Wednesday on the show when I was over at the Spartanburg Showcase. They're just loaded. And they should be making a deep run this year. And again, like you said, Clinton, they're a powerhouse.
Yeah,
they are.
Yeah, if I'm Corey Fountain and everybody's talking about MVP and Woodruff, I love that because now I'm going to use that as motivation.
It's just going to come down to Rob. On that note, it's going to come down to styles are going to make fights on that note because
and who gets who at home.
Right. Yeah,
that's going to matter a lot in that region. Who gets who at home. The other thing that realignment has done, Cole, is there are so many 1A schools. This is the most 1A schools that the state has ever had.
They started at 1A this year, or this realignment. They started at 1A and worked their way up to 5A. Usually they start at 5A and work their way down. They started at 1A this year.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like we're at a point where we need a kind of a special division within the high school league for some of the charter schools and some of the private schools and stuff like that. And 1A, you know, the other thing with 1A is, you got 70 something teams now in 1A, but about, 45 or 50 of them are the only ones that play football. You got a lot of 1A schools competing in basketball and baseball that don't have football.
On the Joy Law Firm text line, RJ gets in a couple of texts. First, he says, on the subject of realignment, Bowling Springs would have been better served to end up in Region 1 5A for the next 2 years. Thoughts? ? Again, I don't know it to be true, RJ, but I think location might have had something to do with that, with geographically, with Bowling Springs being closer to, to where they are, like the Rock Hills of the area.
Bowling Springs might be better off if they moved it to North Carolina. I mean, or I could tell you what I would do if I was administrator at Bowling Springs. All the kids that don't want to show up to school, usually, and I coached in some schools, and usually every school you've got X amount of guys, a portion of students who don't show up to class, don't really want to be students. They're just kind of showing up, hit or miss, and a lot of times they're not really being productive. Well, if I'm Bowling Springs, I'm making a list of all of those kids, and I'm figuring out how I can get them out of my school and get them to another place so that we can get out of 5.
Rob, we've got some breaking news. It's not good. This just came across my phone, and I just had to type it in to make sure it was real.
Okay.
Breaking news from NASCAR 5 minutes ago. Kyle Busch has passed away at the age of 41.
Wow. Does it say what happened?
I'm reading, man. This is it's breaking in real time right now.
Wow.
Kyle Busch, NASCAR driver, has passed away. 1985 to 2026. He was 41 years old. I don't see any of the details yet. Kyle, I do see one quote where it said Kyle has experienced a severe illness resulting in hospitalization. He is currently undergoing treatment. This was 7 hours ago, and will not be competing in Charlotte this weekend. We asked for prayers and privacy, and then 7 hours later, wow. That is that's big news. Yeah. Kyle Busch, 41 years old. We are way late for a break. We'll take a break, react to that, and a little bit more right here on the Fan Upstate.
Then we're going full throttle.
I remember down in Houston, we were putting.
Well, I hate to end the hour on such a sad note, but my gosh, when something sports related this big hits, Rob, it's awful to hear. If you just tuned in, we talked about this. We broke it on this show just a few minutes ago. NASCAR has released a statement, and it says, "We are saddened and heartbroken to share the news of the passing of Kyle Busch, a two-time Cup champion and one of our sport's greatest and fiercest drivers. He was 41 years old. We extend our deepest condolences to the Busch family, Richard Childress Racing, and the entire motorsports community." That was out. You talking about out of nowhere?
Yeah.
I mean, he was
sudden
admitted to the hospital this morning, and has passed this afternoon. I mean, jaw dropping. I don't even know how to respond. I mean, you're racing a few days ago, and that's awful. That's awful. I don't know if you're a big NASCAR guy or not, but that everybody knows the name Kyle Busch.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I'm not as much as I used to be, but I'll say this about Kyle Busch. NASCAR to me, and you can look at its peak and its prime and different times, but NASCAR to me is kind of like pro wrestling in this way. It needs good bad guys, good villains to make it interesting. Yeah. Dale Earnhardt was a great villain until he was incredibly popular.
That's why I've said Carson. I don't know if you know Carson Hocevar. That's why I've said he's so good for the sport. He's kind of that villain type kind of guy.
And Kyle Busch was the guy to take that mantle up after Dale Earnhardt.
Yeah, and my gosh, that is just absolutely horrifying. I hate to end the hour on such sad news, but that's rough. Kyle Busch has passed away. Just goes to show, man, life is short. And
like that, brother.
You never know. You never know. I absolutely saddened to hear that. And
I've unfortunately experienced a lot of loss in my 40 years on this earth. Both my parents, a lot of my friends. You've heard me say that all the time. That half my friends are dead or in prison, and that's the truth. And this is another reminder, man, that life is like a vapor. The Bible tells us that it's here and then gone.
It is, and my goodness, that's why not to get religious on us, but that's why it's important to know. Where you're going to spend eternity. And I absolutely hate that. And that is such sad news for Kyle Busch. And, man, hate ending the hour like that. But we'll get back into the college football Coach O conversation next right here on the Fan Upstate.